I wanted to be when I grew up was a criminal. Forever. That was all I ever wanted to do and not, like I didn't want to, I didn't want to steal something from somebody. I wanted to be a classy, old-timey criminal. Like fedora, little card in the side, you meet him on a riverboat, a week later you realize he wasn't a millionaire and you don't have your insurance policy anymore. That kind of criminal. Fortunately for me, I grew up in Reno, Nevada, where everybody is basically a criminal. So when I was in high school, a friend of mine found a book in his dad's collection of books that was called Gambling Scams: How to Protect Yourself. It said, gambling scams, how to protect yourself. Because in order to protect yourself, it had to teach you how to do gambling scams. It was a step-by-step guide for cheating at cards, for mostly just petty cons, but a couple of longer, big cons. And it was my favorite thing I've ever read. And I've read it 1,000 times. I've memorized every one of them. I've looked at all of his images. I've tried to match my hands to his images. At one point, my friend and I learned, we'd focused on one game in there. It was called 3-Card Monte. You guys seen 3-Card Monte? You know what it is? Okay. It's normally practiced in New York in the 40s by a guy with like a cardboard box on the side of the street, and he holds up 2 black 10s and a red queen, and he throws them down and he moves them around, and you got to find the red queen. And there's a bunch of people gathering around having the best time yelling, who are all his friends, but they don't say that. And then you play the game, and then they're all gambling, and they're all winning all kinds of money because this guy's just set up his box cards giveaway money business. And you see that, and you're like, what a great idea. And so you come up and you gamble, and all of a sudden the red queen is much harder to find than you'd done before. And it's a very simple motion of your hands to make the queen go somewhere else. It's a very simple hustle, and we loved it. And we practiced it in the band room during lunch, and we got very good at it. But no one in high school had any money. So we were like, where do people have money? The bus station. It was a simpler time. It was a... We went down to the central bus terminal, and we sat down on a bench, and we started throwing 3-Card Monte. And instead of having a group of grifters, we had just me and Tim. And we're both 16, and no one is interested, apparently, in gambling with these 2 16-year-olds at a bus station. So we give up. We go to Carl's Jr. to enjoy a sandwich. And while we're there, we are playing just another, like a regular non-cheating card game. We're playing Speed with the 2 piles and the things. Anyway, we're playing this game, and these 2 guys walk by, a tall, broad guy and this short guy with a hat pulled low over his eyes. And the tall guy goes, "Cards, huh? PJ here knows cards." And we go, "Oh, does he?" "Have I got a game for you, PJ? You just got to follow the red queen, baby. It's real easy." So we engage this adult man in a game of 3-Card Monte at a table at Carl's Jr. So we do the easy one where you're like, just follow the red queen, no money, I just want to show you how it's done. And then he's like, there, and you're like, yeah, that's right. Except he couldn't find it. He was the dumbest person I've ever seen. He was like, I don't get it. I don't know which one. Or none of them, and all of them. And we're like, all right, you're good at this. Let's play for $20. And he's like, okay. This should have been a red flag. I'm good. So I like throw the cards, and he doesn't even break eye contact with me. He turns over the queen, grabs the money off the table, and walks away. Which is exactly what I deserve. It's exactly what should happen, and I should be like, don't do this again. But instead, I like the broad-shouldered guy standing there, and we're like, wait, what's the deal? And he was like, that is PJ. He's a professional card cheat. And we were like, awesome. Can we be best friends with PJ? And so he's like, yeah, come over and talk. So we sit down with PJ, and he's like, man, here's the problem with the way you throw 3-Card Monte. Here's the way you gave it away with your nose. Like, he just absolutely knows everything that we did wrong. And he's like, also, no one plays 3-Card Monte anymore. The key is to play Texas Hold'em. You deal seconds. It's the way to make money now. And we were like, what does it cost to get a mentor? So PJ, the professional card gambler, agrees for the lowly sum of $50 an hour to sit down in Carl's Jr. and teach 2 children how to cheat at cards. And you'd really expect that what he would do is he would just take our $50 and leave. But this apparently is the only honest money he's ever earned in his life. Because he showed up every Tuesday at 1 o'clock and for 1 full hour taught us how to cheat at cards. And I learned a lot of great stuff. And he was telling us stories, and he knew things. He would be like, we can't go this week to Carl's Jr. because there's going to be a drug bust because everyone there is selling coke. And so we would go to another Carl's Jr. He just knew things. As an adult, that is the creepiest situation I can imagine. But as a 16-year-old, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. This is all I've ever wanted. I just want to hang out with PJ forever. And we never actually got to the point where he was like, here, we're going to put you in a card game, because no one's going to gamble with a 16-year-old, for good reason. But one day, we started to get this weird feeling about him, because he was like real sweaty, and he was really antsy after a couple of times. And then one day he said the best thing I think I'll remember forever is he was like, by the way, if you're ever hustling someone, you're doing this second deal and you're doing really clever things, but their purse or their money is just sitting on the table, just grab it and go. Because it's way faster. And I bet if you could have seen it, you would have just watched me and Tim deflate. Because that was the moment where I was like, no, we're not going to be on a riverboat righting wrongs somehow through the power of card cheating. You're just a piece of shit. That's all you are. And it turned out what he did for money was not mostly card cheating. It's that he worked for a gardening business and he just embezzled. And he was just the biggest piece of shit. And there's something about piece of shit and 16-year-olds that they really get along. And it should have been weird that he wanted to hang out with us. All these red flags. But at the time, I was like, oh, maybe this is not going to be beautiful and we're not going to be these amazing criminals. I don't think I want to be a piece of shit. And so when he stopped showing up because he had gone to jail, we were not as bummed as you sound right now. We were like, fine. This seems like a good natural ending to this whole thing. 3 years later, we were back in Carl's Jr. hanging out, not playing cards, just, we were playing Magic the Gathering, which is probably worse. Really wish I hadn't just remembered that part. That's super embarrassing. We're playing MTG at the Carl's Jr., and the big guy walks up with a beautiful woman and no PJ. And we were like, hey, Dan, where's PJ? And he's like, he went to prison the day after we saw you because he was a piece of shit. And if you don't hang out with PJ, it turns out beautiful women like you. And so we never cheated at cards ever again. And it was not till 3 years later that we realized Magic the Gathering was also bad for that purpose. So we stopped that too. Thank you guys so much.